Basic advice to the civilian population in the event of a war conflict. Spanish Survival and Bushcraft School. The civilian population does not have to suffer the horrors of war, none begins in a matter of hours, there are constant signs and warnings in the media, therefore, take preventive measures. If it catches you in the conflict zone, you haven't done it right. One of the mottos of the Spanish Survival School is, the best survival situation is the one you don't have, but if you do, you should be prepared. Analysis of the situation according to the moment. We define 3 key moments that are the phases in which any conflict develops, and in each of them we must take action. Previous scenario, beginning of the conflict and development of the conflict. Previous scenario. Defined by the news of the conflict, political declarations, military movements, and an increasingly convulsive global scenario. It is characterized by the fact that social life continues to develop normally, only that the news is increasingly worrying and nerve-wracking. Troop movements will also be reported that the country in question justifies as normal maneuvers, and it is even the case that the political elite he claims to have the situation under control, but you are seeing that the reality is different. The best thing in this phase is to start taking preventive measures. Measures to take: 1. Train yourself in survival techniques. It has been shown that, in extreme situations, prepared people have a better chance of surviving themselves and those around them than those who are not. 2. Preparation of an evacuation, migration plan or forecast of a place to leave outside the possible war zone. It is the moment where we must write a plan, where we will go or move the family, women, children and the elderly, so that they do not enter war scenes. Provide means of transportation or displacement. Here we can assess as a destination, relatives or friends abroad, friendly countries, the same language, stable situation, currency, etc. Depending on the dimension of the possible conflict, the size of the country, the probable invasion zones and if it is a conventional war, without weapons of mass destruction, you may consider moving to safer regions within your country, but having the option of migration abroad. In this plan you must make a provision for the care and needs of your pets. Measures regarding patrimony, economic survival. In all wars, the economy will take a turn for the worse that will affect your current situation. 4. Measures regarding health. We live in a globalized world in which the possible services to be contracted may be from other countries. Insurance companies are globalized and it is possible to contract insurance for all types of assistance outside our current borders. In this way, we will have the basic health needs of the family safeguarded. 5. Consider investigating the services offered by NGOs to help refugees. Their experience and advice will be of great help if necessary. 6. Have a copy of documents and upload them to the cloud to be able to access them. 7. Coordination with the rest of the family to share an escape plan and ultimately leave the conflict zone. 8. It is important to have spoken previously and agree on an action plan, what to do in case of, where, how, when, with whom. 9. Prepare the so-called 72-hour backpack. With the necessary material and previously prepared for a quick evacuation. The backpack must carry at least the following supplies: documents of all kinds, cash, evacuation maps, highways, metro, collective sewerage, other underground. Property keys, lock picks to open doors and knowledge about it, first aid kit and specific medicines as appropriate, battery-powered radio and dynamo, with USB output. Lighters, whistles, adhesive tape, notebook and pencil. Headlamps and batteries. Cell phones and extra batteries. Food, cereal bars, chocolate, water and water purification tablets or special filters. Dry clothes, thermal blankets, floor insulation, toilet paper, list of telephone numbers and addresses, small or multipurpose tools. Each adult must carry their own and not depend on someone else's. Start of the conflict. If you have been far-sighted, your family, civilian population, women, children, the elderly, will be far from that environment, and you will have already taken the corrective measures and actions of the previous scenario described in the previous point. If the conflict starts and you are in a war zone, the measures you must take in this situation are the following. 1. If you hear intermittent sirens or beeps for several minutes, it is an alarm signal. 2. Turn on television and radio to listen to the news and follow the instructions indicated. Keep the radio on. 3. After receiving the news, there are two possible options: stay at home or move to a shelter, evacuate the area. In the first case, notify the neighbors and help as much as possible. In the case of evacuating the house, turn off the gas and electricity, if possible have masks and carry the 72-hour emergency backpack. 4. Location of underground shelters. 5. Stay away from areas of strategic military interest such as airports, military bases, communication centers, weapons factories, etc., as they will be targets of enemy fire. 6. Forecast of food and water resources. 7. Energy forecasts such as batteries and candles. 8. Forecast of extra fuel for vehicles and generators. 9. Protect windows with wood, cardboard or tape on the crystals. 10. Turn off lights at night. 11. Have a radio and batteries to keep up with the news. 12. Transfer fiat money, euros, pounds, yen, to stable cryptocurrencies, to be able to have them in any country without bank limitations. Tips to prepare our home. In times of emergency, the phrase, "my home is my fortress," takes on even more importance. In the face of any type of crisis, it is crucial that we take preventative measures to adequately equip our home and thus protect ourselves and our family. It is important to think about certain aspects in advance to be better prepared for any eventuality. Some aspects to consider are: development of the conflict. In situations in which we have not been able to evacuate the area and we find ourselves under siege, the scenario changes radically. Scenario you will face if you are in a besieged city. Before reaching chaos, the politicians came out saying that everything is fine, that they are on the way to an agreement, everything lies, your safety and that of yours cannot depend on these people, take action or there will come a time when you will not be able to go out. It is best not to be present, but if you have not managed to get out. How to proceed if we are in a combat zone or in an emergency situation. In crisis situations, it is important to remain calm and focused to make the right decisions and avoid reacting impulsively. Here are some guidelines we can follow to stay safe. When chaos comes and you have not been able to evacuate. The following points are reflections on the experiences of people who have had to endure real survival situations in urban environments besieged by war. We are not going to expand on their description. Become aware of each one of them and imagine the worst scenario. It is not what you want, it is what it is, no more. Any wood that can be collected is good for heating and cooking. There is no drinking water, it is collected from the rain. Collect water purification tablets or water purification systems. Pigeons and mice are food. The lack of hygiene will diminish in your person. Bad smells and rot will always be present. You need bags and lots of paper cups and plates. You can't live without sanitizing your hands. Get trained in first aid. Have medicines and a first aid kit on hand. Learn to open and force doors, locks, padlocks, etc. There are many closed places that will have supplies and materials that you need. A crowbar, a chisel, and a hammer, they usually open everything. Since there is no water, there is also no toilet. Learn to build a latrine and know how to manage, turn waste into humus, avoid odors. Post-war scenario. Preparation for the long-term impact of war. In the rush to prepare for violence, the long-term impact of war is often overlooked. It is essential to consider what will happen after the conflict ends, especially if you plan to stay home or return after an evacuation. The post-war environment can be extremely difficult and chaotic, and it can take a long time for a community to fully recover. Reconstruction and recovery of communities can take years, so it is important to be prepared for a prolonged period without basic services such as electricity, running water, food and medicine. Reconstruction of infrastructure destroyed by fighting, such as roads and bridges, will require significant resources and time, which can delay the delivery of supplies to areas that need them most. In addition to the lack of basic services and damaged infrastructure, there may be food and water shortages, which can lead to increased insecurity and violence. People may also suffer from war-related injuries and illnesses, and there may be a shortage of medicines and medical supplies. The Spanish Survival and Bushcraft School offers urban survival courses. They can be online but also face-to-face and are held in different provinces throughout the year. You can see those scheduled on the calendar on their website at www.esupervivencia.com. Work done by Ignacio L. Ortega, EESNB Instructor Supervivencia @gmail.com.